feel that lies on the fair use spectrum?
Oh, well, you can still be a part of your team. Like, reaction content can kind of be split into two broad categories. One where it's done after the fact, where nothing is presented to an audience without it already having been seen, edited. You're just using the parts that you need. You come to the other person's content with some specific idea of what you want to create. That's on one side. And there's another side, which is a lot of what happens in live streaming, where it's just like, oh, that thing's popular. I haven't seen it yet. Let's turn it on and see what happens. The first part there has a good fair use argument often. The second part doesn't really. You're not coming to it with a specific idea, how you can create something new, how you can transform it. It's just, this thing's popular. Maybe I see something, maybe I don't. And let's just keep watching YouTube videos and let's all be entertained. It's more about the, the bringing together curated content and watching with an audience rather than creating something new from that content necessarily. There's an AI VTuber.
I was just going to ask what you thought of it.
Yeah. And her viewership, whatever. Viewership doubled from like 2,000, so 2,500 to 5,000. Just by throwing random clips. So clearly it's not necessarily the actor making something amazing by watching this. Yeah. In your case, with it would still be curated in the sense that by the time it reaches the audience, anything that's in the video has been specifically catered to be necessary for what you're creating, which is not the case with live stream vlogs or when they get good from YouTube. So I would still say that for embedded content on the vein of that first category.
Because, like, I can tell you right now, the video that we shot right before we recorded WAN Show last week, reacting to cringe tech commercials, I hadn't seen the vast majority of them before we sat down to record it, but it was absolutely vetted. It was vetted by someone, and it's going to be edited to only include the parts that we are going to be specifically providing commentary on. And so, yeah, I think
necessary for the commentary to make sense.
And so
I came to it with a system.
Well, yeah. So I think also it's like they're commercials, which, from my understanding, is any content that exists for the sole purpose of promoting a product or service from a commercial entity is pretty much fair game. You guys literally created this only to get eyeballs on it. So if anything, I'm helping you. You're welcome. Which is not an argument that you can make about something that is being created for personal enrichment and the enjoyment of the audience, like something like a non-fiction, a video essay or like a comedy sketch or something along those lines. Now, I think once again, back to my whole thing about how the way that I process content is often through reading the comments. I do want to talk about that again, and I know that I'm probably digging myself into a hole here. I did not do a good job of explaining that last week. No, I'm not going to stop doing it. And the reason I'm not going to stop doing it is that what it does is it distills videos down into what's actionable for me. I don't watch YouTube for entertainment. I only really need to know what the audience's interpretation of the content was. And so whether I look at the original WAN Show, or whether I look at your video sort of responding to it, or whether I look at our segment on the following WAN Show that was definitely responding to it, but also really only framed as definitely responding to it, but more sort of responding to it. The comments actually tell me everything that I need to know as a creator, because the nuance of what you said was very likely lost on the viewers who A, weren't paying attention to you, and B, never watched what I said originally anyway. And so in terms of what I need to address in my talking points for my following show, it's their misunderstanding. It's whatever their interpretation of your video was. And so for that reason, I'm sorry. I'm not going to stop. I had a meeting with Riley and the WAN Show writer this week where they were like, for the love of God, Linus, watch the videos. And I'm like, yeah, if we're responding to something directly, I will. We'll make time, we'll figure it out, we'll make it into it. Or at worst, you guys can put direct quotes in, include timestamps, I can watch the relevant parts, we'll respond to that, and we'll just kind of ignore the rest of it, or whatever the case may be. Depending, like if someone makes a two-hour rant No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you an hour of my time at 2x speed or whatever that works out to. Usually that's what it costs us 75x. I'm not a seasoned 2x watcher. But that doesn't change the fact that my primary takeaway from a video is almost always the community response. Which is why it was so clear after last week's WAN show, reading the comments under that WAN show, that we had to have you on, and we had to deal with this, because I screwed up.
So, I could say a lot of things about that. You have, in other cases on this very show, talked about like, you don't like people to put words in your mouth.
Yes.
Certainly, comments will often put words in the mouth of the person who made the video. You talked even recently about how you wanted to remove comments that don't finish the video, and yet you'll write a comment and misrepresent what's in the video, don't understand the argument. A lot of comments frustrate me no end. I'll read my comment section, and a person will write like a half a page in response to the video, and I'll be like, did you watch the video? And they're like, no, fuck you. Oh, sorry.
I think you mean
and it's very frustrating. Like, I can totally understand the comments alongside the video, because you're right, the audience response is quite important, but it doesn't often replace the video itself in terms of how it characterizes things. Especially my comment section underneath that video, like, I've been talking about reaction content for like 3 years, and so the people who've been with me for that long have that wider context. And a few comments in the comment section are probably just going to confuse you. Why are they talking about all these things when, how could that all have been fit into a 20-minute video? And they're talking about things that may have happened in a completely different video. And you wouldn't have that context. And especially if you're not going to watch the video, you aren't going to know how accurate those comments are. Are they mischaracterizations of the content in the video, or are they perfectly accurate? You know, it is still important to address it either way, but the context of the video seems quite crucial for the comments to make sense.
Oh, absolutely, sort of. So one of the things that reading through the comments on the video actually gave me was a ton of context from your previous videos. So it actually, that knife definitely cuts both ways, because
I think if you're responding to something on the show, if you're responding to something officially, you need to actually watch it. I think
argument there.
Arguing that there is value to absorbing stuff from the comments is also fair.
Yeah.
But just like, yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Where were you last week?
Saying that, I'm pretty sure I disagreed with you on the comments thing last week, but I just like didn't really care much because I don't really care much.
You did push back a handful of times.
Yeah, that's fair.
If he wants to, no, I know he doesn't really watch YouTube. So like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to convince him to start watching a bunch of videos. He's never watched a lot of videos on YouTube. It's always been kind of surprising to me. But
I have clicked videos and then read the comment section, and then on the basis of that determined whether I want to watch the video at all. But you know, I haven't then gone on to talk about that.
yeah, that's the core problem. It's not really so much absorbing stuff that way
it's
in
the
general.
framing, right? So if you were to then talk about that video and say, let's say Mr. Beast made a video, curing people's blindness. Let's say you were to say something like that, and I haven't had a chance to check out the video yet, but what's shocking is that the community response is really split two ways on this, and it's brought up this really interesting debate about the medical system, particularly in America and developing countries, and the necessity of wealthy people needing to come in and heal the blind anyway. Like, why is this even a thing? Versus the people that are just like, this is good, just take it at face value. I think you can absolutely have a conversation, but it just needs to be framed correctly. It needs to be framed as talking about the community response, and you just need to acknowledge that you are not responding to the video. You're responding to a rift or a debate that's going on in the broader social media community. So I think it's a combination of things, but it all comes down to there were 3 clear cell phones, and I'ma own them. I'm own them. That's it. But I'm also not going to stop reading comments primarily as my way of consuming YouTube.
That's precisely why I didn't really push back that hard last week. It's like he's just gonna do that. You don't like need to watch YouTube if you're gonna respond to something that's on YouTube. You should watch YouTube, but like if you're gonna respond to something that's
I mean, certainly when I wrote my first essays on reaction content, I did put those essays underneath those videos, specifically for people like you who prefer to read things rather than watch the videos, especially because I was quite proud of those essays. But, you know, I'm not going to change the world. You can't reach enough people. It's, you know.
No, I think, I mean, that's something I do still take issue with, like anyone's perception that I somehow have the power to change this. It seems like there were a lot of people in the community that feel like as a prominent creator, I can somehow impact the rising prevalence of React content. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be one of those things like family vlogging, where it's going to take like a chain reaction of lawsuits from these kids that grow up and go, where the f***'s my money? Before that entire genre just implodes on itself, and maybe it takes a chain reaction of rights holders finally just getting fed up with this and going after prominent streamers in spite of the fact that they're going to face significant community backlash. Like, I mean, you wouldn't know anything about that, but that could be a total thing. I mean, you would have painful. That could be a total thing.
I mean, like, back in 2016, there was a time where reaction content was just like bubbling beneath the surface. Like, live streaming certainly hadn't taken off to the degree that it is now, so big, and there's just so much reaction content on there. And so there was a time where a lot of the big creators did band together and go, what are people doing? Sitting around all day, watching other people work hard, and then making a bunch of money, whatever. And like, just here's a popular thing, I'm going to re-upload it. This is absurd. And the community backlash was huge, and some of the prominent reactors at the time did bail out. What's changed is now, like, some of the biggest creators are themselves reactors, and the more creators who start doing reaction content of any stripe, certainly, as I will clarify again, what you're saying to do is not usually what I consider to be reaction content or criticize, but that is in the same vein will be seen as a support of this entire ecosystem, and it certainly won't help things. I'm not saying that you yourself can steer the boat in a 180 direction, but you do have the ability to influence things, influence the minds of people on basically any topic. It's just, it would take far more than you to, 180 this boat, and I accept that. It would take more than me. It would take, even Mr. Beast coming out against it probably would have a certain impact, but it wouldn't 180 the boat,
We're definitely going to be talking about Mr. Beast and his capability for impact later on the show. He actually tweeted something yesterday or day before or something like that that made me just kind of go, man, this is going to be interesting. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Let me just see if there's anything else that I kind of. Did you have anything else in your notes that you had wanted to kind of talk to us about or get clarity on?
The definition of reaction content, you seem to like a very broad definition. I'm not really sure why. Like, back in the day, like, the video I made to you would be considered to be a response video. Back in the day,
right?
Like, the video I made. Yeah, but now I have people in the comment section being like, oh, this is just a reaction video. And it's like, my eyes react to the light. Are they reactors? My lungs react to my need for oxygen. Are they now reactors? Like, this widening of the definition only seems to, like, obfuscate things so that people who are doing truly unethical things can be just like, oh, it's all the same at the end of the day. But it's not really, as I try and, the first thing I did when I started talking about this topic was try to distinguish between different types of reaction content and the stuff that I consider to be unethical. But you seem to want to be like, no, it's all reaction content.
If I can throw in here, I had some thinking about this since we talked about it, and I think if I can throw in here, a lot of the community approaches React content, and specifically React, not reaction or reacting, just React content as a filter for types of content. And I think Linus defies React or reaction or reacting or whatever, just the word in general, as a person of the craft, who is not looking at categorizing it and is more looking at what are different things that people care about when they're watching. How can we add value? How can we improve this video stuff?
Yes, how can we create a connection with the viewer?
Right, but when you're talking to people about that, that line gets weird because none of them are doing that.
Which is why I defined it when I initially talked about it.
You just defined it in a way that no one is currently using.
I defined it in a way that made it clear what I was talking about. I defined it in a way that made it clear share what I was talking about.
Within that context, I suppose it's fine. But then, of course, when my video was summarized using a completely different definition of reaction, and that wasn't clarified, it did seem as though I was criticizing
sure,
everything that you were talking about. The definition.
But that's the thing is, I didn't really feel even before I'd watched the video, which I have now. Even before I had, I didn't really feel like it was super critical, because all it said was that you were concerned that it was not possible to create ethical reaction content, and so I came out and I said, well, here's how we would try. I mean, that's a fair exchange.
Yeah, in part, my objection was more just to the idea of summarizing a video and trying to respond to it.
That's more than fair.
Yeah, we've established that. We all agree.
Yeah.
There was one comment that Luke made last time talking about.
Let's go after Luke for a bit. That sounds great. Let's all gang up on Luke. Dan, you're in.
You questioned how things could be unethical despite there being consent involved.
Sure.
And it wasn't actually touched on in the response video I made to you, because it is touched on in the other videos. But consent doesn't necessarily make something ethical if it's people involved are under a false impression of what value they're getting, or as you did point out, that there can be coercion involved. The example I like to use is like a person selling a stone for $10,000 that protects you from tigers. It can be the case that the person buying the stone perfectly consents to buying it. It can be the case that the person selling the stone actually believes the stone protects them from tigers. And so that's a perfect consent there. And they both agree what the stone does. But as an outside observer, you still wouldn't think that's an ethical exchange or a good thing for society, that someone's selling a stone that doesn't actually work, as far as we're aware, to protect that person from tigers. And so that's how I come at reaction content. Like, I consider reaction content.
Yeah, I mean,
you
want to know why I brought that argument up? By the way,
did I coerce you into something?
No, because I was trying to get you to stop talking about the video that you hadn't watched.
It's fair.
People brought up that I did nothing, and I'm like, I was doing stuff. I repeatedly said we hadn't watched it, and then kept trying to bring this up, this type of things up at the very least. It just didn't work. He was like, no.
Yeah, you weren't good enough. That's the reality. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think part of where we ended up in trouble too was some of the community probably misinterpreted part of your video. I have to say, and this is kind of tough. I hope you take this in the best possible way. There were parts of your video where your point wasn't entirely clear. You would use a WAN clip that was not actually related to the point that you were making, and then go on to say something. So you'd say set up, then WAN clip that actually had nothing to do with the setup, then further clarify some position about React content in general that was nothing to do with the WAN clip. And that happened a few times.
I disagree. Well, not entirely, but somewhat. The video was it was roughly cut together, made fairly quickly, and I was trying to get out points that were from my notes, a video that I hypothetically wanted to make in the future. And so the clips, probably originally when I made the video, probably made the context was fairly clear. But as I cut it further and further down, knowing that I have a hard time getting people to watch, a 20-minute video, let alone a half-an-hour video, whatever it was initially, it maybe the context was lost. I don't think the context was entirely lost, but I do agree that at points it does seem as if the connection was somewhat tenuous.
If there was a non-critical viewing of it, I think there are areas where it was quite easy to misunderstand. Like, for example, you've got a clip where I talk about how it could be used as a way to uplift smaller creators, and then you go on to say how it's for business reasons. But you also used a clip like 5 or 6 minutes earlier in the video where I said right up front, right from the beginning, this is for business reasons. But then you proceeded to argue against my argument that it was to uplift smaller creators, but that was actually a small sidebar. That was more of a happy accident. And that was the way it was framed. And so if someone didn't watch our original video and only watched your video response, let's call it that. Let's use the old school terminology. If they only watched your video response, it would seem like you were responding to me thinking that I was some kind of white knight who's going to swoop in and be one of those creators who makes the argument, the bigger I get, the bigger you're going to get, and it's going to be great for all of us, which is absolutely never what we set out to do, and absolutely never something that even crossed our minds. So there were definitely points in the video, and yeah, I get it. Like, it's not always easy to cut something together perfectly, especially for something that was turned around so fast. But after I had watched it, I kind of went, well, I can see why people got this impression. I can see why people came away in the comments with this idea, because you were actually responding to something that, or it seemed like it. Now, I, with all the context that I have, know that that's actually not what you were doing at all. You were more, like you said, summarizing the notes that you've been making over the last several months, right?
With you as a bit of context.
But that's what it seemed like.
Yo, I don't did people really come away from that video with a negative impression of you? I didn't
Mostly
see many
not.
comments
No,
like
mostly
that.
not. No,
I thought enough. I thought enough was in there, especially with the end. Although most people don't get to the end of videos, of course. But I don't think.
Yeah. That's a big problem. Because
actually, yeah, I almost didn't release the video because I do think it wasn't focused on you enough. And a lot of what I talked about in relation to you was at the end. And I looked at the retention, like the average retention was like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh no. But that's almost the problem with any video, I suppose. And the problem with reading the comments sometimes.
So, but the comments were not negative, but they misunderstood. That was what I saw. So it's fine. I think the bottom line is that, yes, I'm using the term react to contain content that would not necessarily be the kind of reaction content that, I mean, I agree with you, is a cancer. It's a malignant growth. It contributes nothing. And while I don't necessarily agree with your summary of the creator or attention economy entirely, I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think you did a pretty good job of dumbing it down. But I think if you and I were to have a 90-minute conversation off of this podcast, we could probably get into a lot more nuance about the attention economy. And I might go, well, not quite, Matt. I don't necessarily see it quite that way. And you might say, but this, and we might come to some kind of...
You as a content creator have got to understand making things shorter and more digestible and understandable.
Exactly.
For the audience, so.
What was I saying? It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm good. Are you all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's been an enjoyable experience coming on the WAN show at all. This is, I wouldn't say it was on my bucket list, but it should have been.
Yeah. And you know what? I do want to say that you actually popped up on my radar before we did the segment on WAN show because of your series. And even though I hadn't watched any of it, people here had. And as we were putting together sort of our ethical reaction content guidelines, you were a guiding star for us. So I kind of wanted to pop that on you on the show so that you knew that even though I hadn't necessarily watched the video essay series, at least two of us in the exec team already had and had already flagged your concerns. Some of it is stuff that I sort of intuitively was like, well, that's stupid. I just think that's crap content anyway, and I just don't want to do it. But other things were just aspects of it that I hadn't considered. And so I'm really glad you did the series, because even though maybe it didn't get as many views as you'd like, or maybe it got more backlash than you'd like, or maybe it's frustrating because people are misunderstanding it, or whatever all the negatives that come out of it, you definitely influenced at least a couple of key people, and you've definitely influenced our approach towards it, even if it might not be perfect every time, and we might not agree 100% every time. I think that you made a difference, if that helps at all.
Yeah, that's very kind of you to say. Often my biggest issue is not that people disagree with me, it's that they don't even take the time to understand my perspective. They don't watch the video and leave comments being like, oh, you must be wrong. I spent a lot of time on that series. I spent like 2 months on it or something. And it just frustrates me how many people paint me as a drama whore or something, especially if the context in which that series came out showed that was clearly not the case. And so knowing, because I have received a lot of messages from creators saying, oh, this has completely changed my mind. on the perspective. And hearing that it has had some impact is nice. It's just, as you say, it's very hard to have like ecosystem changing impact. But it is nice to have some impact, I suppose.
You've got a lot of fans here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there was anyone that we could have inadvertently sort of beefed with, it seems like you were not a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't engage with that many content creators in general, but it has seemed that most of that engagement has been accidental beef. So maybe I am partly to blame as well.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
I want to say I did allude to, at least somewhat in a joking manner, that your writer may not like me. That was a little bit of a joke. I want to apologize if I caused the writer any undue stress.
Because I think they're all right.
I think they're all right. Yeah.
I think they're all right.
Just to be clear.
I probably caused more stress than you did, but by mid-Saturday, I had basically sent out heartfelt apologies to everyone on our side who I had wronged in any way, and said, like, look, let's fix this, let's move forward. So I think that's pretty much it. I think it's time for us to move forward with the rest of the show. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Glad we got a chance to kind of bury the hatchet and get this at least to a point where we might not agree about what exactly React content is, but I think we can agree about what ethical content might look like in some kind of React-iverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and seeing the behind the scenes was very fascinating as well. People are definitely missing out.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care and have a good day, mate. Yeah, because it's morning, right?
Yes. Oh, it's just gone to afternoon, but close enough.
Oh, yeah. Dan, you screwed up. You put his camera in upside down.
Oh,
This whole time, I didn't even notice.
I forgot something.
You left on the Southern Hemisphere correction. It's not supposed... Okay, anyway. All right, see you later.
See ya.
All right. Why don't we jump into our next big topic of the day? Luke, what do you want to talk about then?
Oh, wow.
Why don't you pick something?
Anchor.
You want to talk about Anchor?
Yeah.
All right.
Because I'm still mad.
Let's talk about Anchor. Well, you're coloring the people's perception. You got to let them decide for themselves.
No.
Yeah, I'm pissed off too, but like...
They can have the right opinion.
Okay. And I'm the one with the ego. I'm the one with the problem.
I think that's still true. Anyways, since whistleblowers revealed serious security flaws last November, journalists have been demanding answers. After a long series of fibs, inaccuracies, and omissions, Anchor has finally acknowledged that the footage on Eufy security cameras was not, as they claimed, natively end-to-end encrypted.
It wasn't. What?
No way!
No!
Amazing! They now claim that they have addressed the issue with the Eufy web portal that made unencrypted camera live streams accessible without authentication, and will be updating every Eufy camera to default end-to-end encryption via WebRTC. They state that only one device, the Video Doorbell Dual, was sending and storing information on Eufy's cloud without user initiation.
Which is too much.
Matter. Exactly. Yeah.
One is too many when you say it doesn't happen at all. But carry on,
we were both,
Mr. Lafreniere.
We were both interjecting to say the same things. Like, hold on a minute. That's irrelevant. According to their statement, this was a copy of a setup image for facial recognition in case the user added an additional device or replaced their existing device. I don't care. They admit that this was not in line with their local storage mission, and the process has been removed. They stress that no facial recognition data was included, and that they have no access to users' footage while using local storage, and no access to users' biometric data whatsoever. Sure.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, is this isn't about how the hardware works, or what the policy is, or anything.
And they've already lied like
or
multiple times, so none of their statements have any value.
It's about, do I believe you at all?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Anchor has apologized for poor communication, good, and confirmed plans to create a bug bounty program.
Okay, now tell me something. Did you read the statement?
The statement?
Yeah, that Anchor released.
Oh, no.
Okay, then I'm ahead of you. I read the statement. I didn't just read the comments on it, but I did read those as well.
Are you going over it now?
It specifically, explicitly, is not an apology.
I'm not surprised. Because that's what they did last time, too.
But they actually...
I read the last one.
No, it's bizarre. Like, they go out of their way to say, this is not an apology. We will apologize later.
That's weird.
So,
That's really
okay,
weird.
if I were to take...
That's super weird.
Like, if I were to take the statement at face value, okay, it seems like they want to get all their ducks in a row and provide the whole story alongside a heartfelt apology. But from my point of view, it looks like legal butt covering.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that I can see from a corporate standpoint not to apologize, because an apology is an implicit admission of guilt, of wrongdoing.
Not as much in Canada, which is why we say sorry a lot.
If they apologize, they're basically saying, we did something wrong. Whereas if they don't apologize, if they specifically say, we're not apologizing, but we'll apologize later once we've got everything figured out, they're basically just stalling.
Gipo839 in Floatplane chat said, this is not an apology, it's just a tribute. Which is a very good reference.
I approve this tribute.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks a lot. At this point, like, we're gonna get. I'm gonna skip the last couple notes. We're gonna go right into the discussion question. What will Anchor need to do in order for the community at large to accept their apology? Can we ever trust them again? A massive, like, brutalizing leadership change. Like, I can't imagine the thing that steered this ship so far I would ever trust again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's... But then, here's the thing. If they told you that everyone responsible has been axed, would you even believe them?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, the problem is not even that they lied. That's part of the problem.
That's
the problem is that they lied and lied again and lied about lying and lied some more. And then finally... when they absolutely
said they would apologize later.
Had their back to the wall, they said, we're sorry that you're upset. We'll apologize once we're sure if we did anything wrong and what it was, and that will happen later. The f*** are you talking about?
Ridiculous.
You don't... When you do something... Like, okay, imagine this.
When you do something wrong, you
Sorry,
bring them on the show.
I need to take stock of what exactly
I need to
just
review the footage.
happened there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check I'm gonna have to read the comments and see if people think that I was in the wrong or your arm shouldn't have been there. I'll get back to you later with an apology.
Elbowgate 2.
What is that? That's stupid.
Yeah.
If you actually own that you did something wrong, you apologize right away. You don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's much else to say here. I mean, we can put up a poll if you really want,
So
but like
wacky.
realistically, I can tell you from my point of view, we are not taking Anchor back as a sponsor, as a business collaborator. It's not happening.
And I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to assume it was true. There was probably an opportunity for that to happen.
Well, yeah, of course.
But the ship has sailed.
Well, yeah, the ship sailed the second that the security researcher said, "Hey guys, this," and they didn't immediately go, "Holy crap, we're gonna fix this. Sorry."
Massive oversight, big patch.
Yeah.
Boo.
Even if that was a lie, it would have been the correct lie. I won't say anything is the right lie, because there's no right lie. But there is a correct lie. But they couldn't even play the game.
Yeah.
They couldn't even pretend. They're just like, nope. If you don't want to be associated with the CCP, don't act like them.
Yeah.
Because that's the reality, right?
That's fair enough.
Like from a certain point of view, yes, okay. Every Chinese corporation has some pressure on them from the CCP, but that doesn't mean you have to actually behave just like them. When you're caught lying, you just lie more. Like, I don't get it. Is there like something in the water in like Russia, China region? Like, just, I mean, not that frankly, Western leadership lies that much less. I mean, that's politicians,
or less
I guess,
at all,
right?
to be completely honest.
I guess it's like the bald-facedness of it, you know? Like they're not even giving me any respect whatsoever. They're going, I didn't do that. Right?
You can't prove I did it.
Yeah. I mean, they at least give me something plausible. Like I'm sorry, I have a rare condition that causes muscle spasms. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Tourette's but for physical violence. Like I just,
Isn't that a thing?
Actually, no, I mean, I doubt so extreme that you would like hit people. But like it's
I don't know.
At least make up something plausible. Help me out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. Should we jump into a more positive one?
Yeah.
Because I think this is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
YouTube Shorts. YouTube
you think this is good? Because I'm mad.
Oh.
You go ahead.
Okay.
No, hit me. Let's go.
YouTube has rolled out revenue sharing for Shorts as of February 1st. Rather than attaching ads to specific videos, YouTube will pool the revenue from ads that appear in the Shorts feed. That pool is then split into a pool for fees and music licensing and a pool for creators. Oh.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Because this is the way to combat TikTok. TikTok is just going to not respect copyright and not pay anything to license holders. And realistically, anyone operating in this hemisphere is not going to be able to get away with that. Yeah. So this is the way to make it so that Shorts can contain copyrighted music. So you can actually have like clips from Rihanna and Drake, Taylor Swift, like whatever else, so that you can upload the same content to YouTube Shorts that you could to TikTok. And unlike TikTok, YouTube is actually going to share some of the revenue from that. So now that there's no huge disadvantage, other than TikTok's creation tools, but hopefully they'll catch up. So now that there's no huge disadvantage in your content, like you can't have music or whatever, hopefully there'll be a big migration to Shorts, which should be more profitable and or force TikTok to actually compensate creators. So overall, everything you've said so far is good.
I don't think I scrolled down far enough earlier when I was skimming through this to see the caveats section. Some of that is BS. We'll get there in a second, though. I just read the first 3 bits, and I thought it was actually really cool. Anyways, Shorts that use one music track will be taxed 50% of their views, the ad revenue for which is then paid to rights holders of said music. YouTube then takes 55% of the cut of the remaining ad revenue, and finally, the rest is split among eligible creators based on views. In summary, if YouTube Shorts makes, just say $100 to make this easy, in ad revenue, and 20% of those shorts use a song, so remember, if it uses a song, it's 50% of the views, but let's say only 20% of the shorts actually used a song, then the music industry gets $10, YouTube gets $49.50, and the creators split $40.50. There's some important caveats, though. A lot of this is based around the ad not playing before your specific video, right? So it assumes you're in the Shorts feed. Okay. YouTube doesn't count views from outside said Shorts feed. For example, if a viewer clicks on a short from a creator's library, not counted.
What?
YouTube also doesn't share revenue from ads on navigation pages leading to Shorts or the first ad that plays in the Shorts feed if it comes before the first video.
What?
We asked a representative from YouTube.
We did.
And we
asked more than one representative from YouTube, actually, because YouTube has asked me, respectfully, to not just go live and make a video and crap on their policies and procedures and business without at least, giving them a chance to talk me down.
Without at least giving them a chance to not do anything.
So I said, hey, this isn't going to change anything because realistically, I've seen the pattern over and over again. I don't get attention unless I make a bunch of noise publicly, but I'll tell you what, I'll play along. I'll go through the chain of command and I will raise my concerns with all the appropriate people before I go live with a denouncement of your extremely crappy two-faced approach to revenue sharing in Shorts. So I did. It did nothing.
Yep.
And so we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So that was a big waste of time. I think next time, YouTube, I won't bother. Because it was clearly a waste of time. You guys are obviously wrong. You guys are obviously being disingenuous here, and it didn't matter because you don't care, because I actually don't know what makes you care. And this is an extremely dangerous step from my point of view. I don't know what is going on with YouTube leadership right now, because Google somehow, and it almost feels like by accident, Google has somehow managed to be the one company that has successfully figured out the key to retaining their creators, to maintaining those relationships and building a library of content that you guys come back to the site for time and time and time again.
They're also the refuge for other dying platforms.
An equitable,
Vine dies, they come here.
An equitable revenue sharing approach. And this is the first time that I've looked at something and gone, well, that was obviously, clearly something that should have been shared with creators, and you just went, no, I don't think I will. So here's the thing. Here's the big problem. Their argument for why that first ad, when you click into the Shorts shelf, it used to be called, I don't know what they call it now, Shorts something. I don't know. Feed, yeah. Their argument for why that first ad, when you navigate into the Shorts feed, should not go into the pool is that they haven't interacted with a short yet. So there would be no way of knowing what short that ad view should be attributed to. YouTube? That's the whole point of pooling it. Remember? Remember that whole deck that you went through with me for like 45 minutes explaining this whole system where you were going to compensate the music rights holders and then create these pools, and then it would be a shared pool, because the truth is we have unlike a normal video where you actually interact with the video and then there's a pre-roll and then there's a mid-roll and then there's a post-roll and whatever, where you can clearly say, okay, this viewer was retained by this video and these ads are associated with this video. The whole point of pooling it is that you can't do that. So riddle me this. Why would anybody click on the Shorts feed if they weren't driven there by Shorts creators? What makes you think that it was you and you alone who was responsible for that interaction, for that ad view? There is actually zero rational defense. There is no logical defense for this, because they already laid out the reason for everything being pooled. And, okay, so why am I flipping out over this? They took my money. In reality, YouTube AdSense is already a fraction of our revenue, and of that, Shorts is a tiny, just infinitely small fraction.
Not for everyone, though.
This doesn't hurt me. We've got LTT Store. We've got LTX. We've got our direct sponsor relationships. Like, we're fine.
Not even mentioned.
We're 100% fine.
Right there, though. Let's go.
Float plane! We're fine. But this is not fine. And it represents just, like, what is going on over there? Like, Google was supposed to be the less evil tech giant, right? And certainly they haven't been always. But did you see how they handled the last round of layoffs? Not one, but multiple ex-Google employees reported getting an email laying them off while they're sitting in the hospital with their newborn child. And I'm sitting here going, even if that's legal,
I don't know how
it's
true
inhumane.
Or real this is, but I read a short little story thing about someone who was traveling, but they were in the States on a work visa, and they got fired while they were traveling over email, so they can't come back. So like their stuff, their car, everything is just like they're getting one of their friends to like sell it for them, and they just have to like, yeah, I don't know. Really brutal.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, this is a super slippery slope. And you know what? Honestly, I'm not expecting anything good to come of this. If anything, if I was Google, I would just kind of listen to my feedback and go, well, we just won't clarify that next time. We will just write the policy in such a way that it never raises this question. So we'll say all ads displayed between short videos are eligible for the pool, and then just quietly we'll just put some ads at the beginning. But they weren't between anything. So
then we just need Spiffing Brit to figure it out for us. I don't even. This is probably because I don't watch enough shorts, but I don't even get it. Like, if I click on a short, like if I'm on the YouTube app thing and I click on a short, it doesn't immediately play an ad, right? It plays the short that I click on.
No, but if you from the YouTube app, if you just click shorts, if it plays an ad before it plays a short, they go, well, that's ours. That had nothing to do with shorts creators.
That's obviously wrong.
That was all us. Absolute bullshit. 100%. And
I was trying to pick a lift me up topic, man. It didn't work.
And the discussion question here is like, why act in bad faith over such a petty amount of money? That actually is a really good question, because compared to traditional ads, I do not expect the shorts fund in general, the shorts pool in general, and I especially do not expect this small percentage of ads that they're displaying before they actually play a short to even make an impact. So why carve it out? It's ludicrous.
Yeah. I have no idea. I want to kind of assume that it has something to do with like shareholder happiness, because stocks in general for a while have been a little, as far as I know, they're going slightly up recently. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing,
It's been
though.
a little brutal.
Like, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about with Google right now, though. It's like, there's still a company that's making literally billions of dollars a quarter, and they're sitting there going, okay, we need to cut this cost. We need to squeeze blood from this stone here. We need to, whatever. And I'm looking at it going like, no, the reason you guys just brought the founders back in is because of the absolutely existential threat that is ChatGPT and AI chat assistants. This doesn't even register.
Yeah.
Why are you fighting such a ridiculous battle? And honestly, I don't even think a shareholder, this wouldn't merit mention on a shareholder call anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so Tom XYZ goes, Google missed earnings per share by 12% this quarter. Right.
That's not going to make up 12%.
Yeah, it won't. It will do absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things for Google. And in spite of that big miss, big problem, Google made billions and billions of dollars this quarter. So, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not getting it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not getting it.
Yep.
You know what'll make me feel better? Telling you about our sponsors. Nice. Where the heck are they? Yes. The show is brought to you by Vessi. Wet socks. Wet socks, Luke.
They suck.
Yeah, they suck.
Why would you want wet socks?
But don't worry, Vessi's on the case. Vessi says their shoes are made of 100% waterproof materials thanks to their Dymatex technology. Now, obviously, in the very long term, you could put a hole in them or whatever, and they wouldn't be waterproof anymore. But we're pretty impressed by how darn water resistant they are. And it's the same technology that keeps your feet cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Their new Stormburst shoes combine the comfort of a sneaker with the grip and coverage of an outdoor boot. And Vessi has added extra layering for warmth and extra grip to keep you grounded in all weather conditions. I just want to clarify, when we say grounded, we're not talking like anything to do with ESD safety or lightning strikes or anything like that. It's like to keep your feet on the ground instead of your butt. The Stormbursts are easy to take off and put on thanks to their handy pull tabs. So say no to soggy socks and say yes to springtime adventures. Check out the Vessi Stormburst and other styles at vessi.com/wanshow and use code LTT for 15% off your entire order. Ran into one of my badminton friends who's wearing Vessis. I'm like, hey, nice Vessis. Use code LTT to save 15%. He goes, nah, dog. I'm like, I try to help you. I try to help people, okay? The show is also brought to you today by FreshBooks. I'm guessing you're not an accountant. Statistically speaking, you probably aren't. Working on your books can bring up difficult questions like, what numbers go in what column? And what report should I run? It's a difficult question. What number goes in what column, Luke? Help me.
It's hard.
Yeah, A goes in the first one, right?
That's not a number.
No, but it is the first column in a spreadsheet.
But you said what number
You
goes
smart
in
ass.
what column. You said what number goes in what column?
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use accounting software that makes it simple to send invoices and collect your cash. FreshBooks was created specifically for both business owners and accounting professionals, and it hits that sweet spot between usable and useful. Plus, it keeps your income and expenses organized so you won't be begging your accountant for help the day before taxes are due. It has everything you need to manage your books, like invoicing, expense and time tracking, automated payments, and reports to tell you how healthy your business is. Just head over to freshbooks.com/WHEN to save 90% on your first 4 months. Finally, the show is brought to you by JumpCloud. JumpCloud is an open directory platform, the IT backbone for your organization. It makes it possible to centralize your technology stack across identity, access, and device management in a cost-effective way. It also helps you manage the proliferation of identities created by the cloud and software as a service application. I know, right? It's been a whole thing for us lately. Use JumpCloud then to handle identities and access with maximum ease and maximum security. You can decrease IT expenses and ongoing costs and scale your organization with confidence without massive tech overhead and infrastructure of people, and meet strict and increasing regulatory and compliance requirements, all from the same platform investment. They've got support for Mac, Windows, and Linux no matter the platform, so JumpCloud has your back. Try it out today using the link below. Are you going to manage to pick a positive topic, Richie? No. Can I trust you to do this?
But someone will think that said something that I think is brilliant. I'm going to start making shorts that are reactions to ads.
Oh, where's your defense now, YouTube? What's up? What's up now, YouTube?
I want to talk about, and maybe we will anyways, but maybe not right now. I want to talk about Blizzard penalizing players who regularly play cheat.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Well, I don't think the topic's going to get any more filled out than it is now. That is true.
The Overwatch 2 team is frustrated with the amount of cheating. 50,000 accounts. Over 50,000 accounts have been actioned. I think that might be a range from 10 since launch to murder. They've had enough. The extent is no longer just targeting cheaters, but those who go along with them. Awesome.
So if you see someone cheating on your team, you need to work it out of the...
It's saying who regularly play with cheaters, I suspect something to do with the party.
So if you kind of go, well, I'm not cheating, but I'm hiding behind a tank who has infinite health or whatever.
This is a big deal for games that have any form of ranking system or have any form of external. Say you were playing some kind of game where you could gain a lot of something like food or money or whatever from demolishing a bunch of items. If you play with a cheater who does that, then you can gain all that reason. If you're playing a game where you're trying to rank, where you're trying to play competitively, you can boost your account by playing with someone who's cheating. You can boost your account. There's a lot of benefits from getting characters.
Right, so if you just have some random account, you're just like, yo buddy, play this one and party up with me, let's go.
So hammering down on people like that. Also, making it so that it's kind of forced.
Unleash the hordes of hell!
Yeah. You figure out that your buddy's cheating.
Like, hey, stop.
You don't stop.
So then,
you don't want to.
What's the difference between this and the social credit system exactly? Okay, I was
Yeah, but you shouldn't want to play with people who cheat. I have read online sentiment of people who are like, well, I'm not cheating, I don't lose their kills, or I don't whatever, I don't interact in whatever way, so I don't really whatever. Like, no, that's the end. You should stop. You should pressure your friends. Unless I'm
I gotta tell you, I don't play with cheaters. I had a mixed doubles partner that I was playing with for a while in badminton, and at a tournament, on a match point, I watched them make an obvious bad call. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I hope it was worth it for you, but I'm never playing with you again. I just don't do that, because if you don't respect the spirit of competition, why are we all doing this? What's the point?
It was like in and they said it was out.
Clearly in, and they called it out, yeah. And the way it works in a rec tournament, where it's not, you don't have like, paid officials or anything like that, is the call is up to the person whose side it lands on. And it's an honor system. But from my point of view, they basically just demonstrated they have absolutely no honor whatsoever. And I don't want to be associated with that. Like, the thing is, like, so my reputation means a lot to me. When I call something out, I want people to go, well, it's not good. Yeah. So I will go out of my way. If I'm not sure, if I am under 80%, 85% sure, I just go, just take it. Always. And I don't think this is going to work. I don't think they're going to be able to change this.
I think it will work
consistently.
I think it will work somewhere.
You think so?
There are absolutely people in a wide variety of
You merely prolonged your demise.
that will pay for carries consistently. And